Jesus was a rock star.
Bless God. Well, as you know, we watched this already. Switch, change everything.
Bring clothes, household.
That's in there from last week. We are still doing that. And I just got to tell you again, as we walk through this, leadership thing, and I gotta get forward to my actual. I believe that we are on a mission from God. I don't have the Blues Brothers clip for you today, but I believe it is still so true. And as I've been going through this book again, because I read it this last summer, and knew that I wanted to share this book with you during this period of time. And I've never actually done a book club with you guys before where we just preach, I take chapters out of a book. But I'm shamelessly stealing all the good ideas from this book because I think God has an idea for us. I think he's got a plan for us. And we're just going to run towards it. These are just the different chapters in it, and that's the book. I encourage you to read it on your own. You won't be disappointed if you do, but it's all about lead like it matters. And Craig Groeschel makes a big deal in this book that some businesses have it and some businesses just don't have it. Some churches have it and some churches just don't have it. And he has, I don't know if it's the biggest church in the country or not, but it's a massive church. Their main church is in Oklahoma, but they have satellite churches all over the world where they have and what a satellite church is they'll have a campus. We went to one in Fort Worth, Texas. There was a live worship team there. There was a campus pastor there that did the announcements, and he did like the prayer at the end and the prayer at the beginning and stuff. But then they pump in a message with Craig Groeschel's face on it, and he preaches a message, and he said that we have these campuses all over the world, and all of their buildings look the same, or almost all their buildings look the same. Their children's program is exactly the same. The training is exactly the same. The songs are the same. But somehow, some of the churches have it, and some of the churches don't have it. And he goes to great pains in the book to describe that it doesn't matter if you've got stained glass windows, you can still have it. It doesn't matter if you have new music or old music or what. There's all kinds of different kinds of businesses and churches that have it, and some just don't. And so I don't know that we have it, but we're going to keep chasing it. And some people might say, but I'm here to tell you that we are going to get it today. And we're going to get it one way or the other. We're just going to pursue what we feel like God has for us. And so that is the mind map up there today. 2 of the weeks, I'm going to put 2 chapters together in the book. That's where those little squiggly lines are. And because then we'll get done before Easter. And so I thought that those would be the shortest chapters for me to go ahead and be able to do that on. But today, we're talking about divine focus. Now, last week, it was about vision. We have to have a vision. We want to see with our imagination and our faith the things that God has. But once we have a vision, we need to have divine focus. And because, let me just recap again last week, I guess. Last week, I told you that our vision can be boiled down. Well, we used to do our prayer. Remember our prayer? Jesus, help me to be what you want me to be, do what you want me to do, because people thought you go to hell. This is actually the same vision, just so you know. It's just that we're articulating a little bit how we want to do that. It's actually the same thing. At the Rock, you can belong before you believe. That means if you're here today and you are a Wiccan, we love you. I want you to find Jesus because I love you that much. However, that's our relationship is not dependent on that. You're allowed to disagree with me, and we can still be family. We can still be friends. We can still love each other. So at the Rock, you can belong even if you don't believe yet. That is because I believe very strongly that that's really the best way for someone to meet Christ. Because if we come across like judgmental jerks, it just doesn't work. If it worked, I'd do it, but it doesn't. It doesn't work. And so we want people to open up their hearts and minds. But today, So that is what our vision is. But today we want to focus in just a little bit.
Some students surprise their teacher with colorblind glasses, and it's so wholesome.
Oh my gosh. Hey. Oh my God. Man, you got.
I'm crying, man.
I love all you guys, man. For real, you're the best.
This severely colorblind student was given glasses by his principal that allowed him to see color for the first time.
See what it does. So what do you think then? Is it pretty cool?
He crying.
That's awesome. Hey, come here. Come here, dude. Oh,
Grandpa was gifted colorblind glasses, making him see for the first time in his life, and he instantly started tearing up.
It's so clear, I can't believe it.
Papa, look at the hat.
Oh my God.
A teenager was surprised with colorblind glasses, making him see colors for the first time ever, and his joy is amazing.
Bro, this is, bro. This is what y'all. Bro, what? Bro, what? Bro. Bro. Dog, this is so crazy. This is so crazy. Bro, this is so.
For his 50th birthday, a man was surprised with colorblind glasses so he could finally see colors for the first time in his life.
Chris, this is pink.
Huh? Look at my pants.
Blue jeans, right?
This is crazy.
Good news, if you're colorblind, for about $300, these glasses, you might try those. But I wanted something about vision, so I was looking for videos and stuff, and I found that one. And I saw some of you wiping your eyes. I did too. I was like, this is powerful, man. And I got to thinking, you know, the experience like that for me was when Jesus came into my life for real. You know, that moment of grace when you realize and your eyes are open and you see it for the first time. And a lot of us can point to that exact moment in our lives when that happened. And it's just like somebody lifted a veil. All of a sudden, there's clarity, divine focus. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, there's a couple other books that if you wanted more on this subject, Simple Church and Good to Great. They're basically the same book. They're really not the same book, but the same principle is there, is that great companies in the Good to Great and great churches are simple. Their vision is simple and their methods are simple. They don't do too much. In both of these books, you find the author just railing on the idea that if you do too much, you're going to do nothing well. And one of the examples in Good to Great was GE had so many different companies. They were doing everything. And they went through, and I don't remember the percentage of the companies, but they went through all of their companies, and any business that they weren't 1 or 2 in, they sold. And their stock took off again, and they had a new generation of, and I didn't know this until I read The Good to Great, that they invented plastic. And so that was one of the things that they were a chemical company, and that was their base. Anyway, a simple church, simplify. Nye Cuban says, nothing can hold more power in your life, because this is both personal and institutional, than concentrating all of your energies on a limited set of targets. If you try to do everything, you'll end up doing nothing. And we see that in the scripture as well. It says, no, dear brothers and sisters, this is Paul writing to the Philippians, I have not achieved it. And so it's really not even about getting it for me. To be honest with you, do I have absolute 100% faith that we're going to be a church of 300 next year or 500 or 1,000? No. But do you know what I do know? That's actually not that important to me. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today, what I feel like the Lord is asking us to focus on. And I tell you what, it isn't for a big church. We would do things different if that was our core value of what we wanted. And so we're going to talk about that. So I have not yet achieved it because I get distracted all the time. But I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. This is what it's like when we get it. And there's also, I'm going to press on. I haven't achieved it, but I'm going to focus on it. Like the fog just lifts. And to be honest with you, this summer was kind of like that for me. Now, I've talked about my sabbatical quite a bit, but of course I read this book during my sabbatical, and so it's one of the reasons why it was right there for me. And to be honest with you, I was faithful for all of those years. At no point in time did I fall into sin. As a matter of fact, and I've told you this before, but I just want to remind you, at the same period of time that things were going to get hard for me, and when I say hard for me, you guys were nice to me. I didn't miss any paychecks, right? I didn't, it's just nothing seemed to work ministry-wise. But at about the same time that I was going to go through a period of about 3 years where just not much happened. It's like everything I just tried to do, it just kind of didn't work as well. It's like nothing works, Lord. What's going on? And now I believe that the Lord led me into it. The first clue that I had, that it wasn't me doing something wrong, but it was the Lord leading me through it. The first clue was when my counselor told me at the end of my intensive counseling, because I was burned out pretty good. And he said, Scott, I don't think you're clinically depressed. You have all the symptoms of being clinically depressed. But he said, I think that you are going through a God-given desert period. Now, you say that to a preacher, we know what that means. John the Baptist had desert period. Jesus had desert period. Elijah had desert period. These chunks of time in saints' lives where nothing happens. It's not like nothing happened around here, but everything's hard, and things don't work like they normally do, and it's dry, and God's not speaking, you know? I prayed so many times, Lord, if you don't tell me what to do, I'm just going to make the best choice I know how to make and do that, you know? But here I am, anytime you want to say something. And when I was, so that was the first clue that I had. Now, it wasn't until, I came back in September. It was the middle of September, maybe 3/4 of the way through September. I came to another revelation. I did the math. Because a few years ago, and this is quite a few years ago, I think 6 years ago, and it depends on how you measure it, how long things have been hard. But we haven't had any significant growth for at least 6 years. At the same time that I was about to go through the most challenging personal time in my life and ministry, the Lord gave me a present. And if you've been hanging around here, you know what that present is. I wake up early in the morning whether I want to or not. And so I went through a period of time, and I still get up at that time in the morning and have my time with the Lord. But I was spending about 3 hours a day with the Lord. I was deep diving. My Bible software was getting a major workout. I would pray, I would sing, I would study deep. And not every day was good, but most days were good. And it was kind of in how my emotional week would go. Sunday would happen, and if we had a small crowd like we do today, it'd get me really discouraged, but then Monday I would get back up again, and then I'd spend time with Jesus, and I would start out my time with Jesus feeling like a loser, but at the end it was like, okay, God, we got this. I needed that time with the Lord. So isn't it interesting? The Lord gave me such a present that I'll have for the rest of my life of having that sweet, sweet time in the morning. And I stayed up late one night this week to pick up Ingrid Lisa not from the hospital, it's from the airplane. And so she got home late on Friday night, and I stayed. I did not make it. I tried to stay up, but I fell asleep in the chair. Elizabeth woke me up, and we went and got her. But I'm the first one to go to bed. But I wake up 3:30, 4 o'clock. My alarm does not wake me up very often. It just vibrates my wrist. What a gift from God. So it was a good time, but it was hard. But when I came back, and I was driving back from Chicago, it was the end of June, or middle of June, something like that. And it was all of a sudden, it was like a fog lifted. And I don't know how to describe it any other way. It was like I could see again. And I felt some things in my gut that I already knew I had to do. It's like I felt like I was hearing from God again. And for instance, I knew I was going to share this book with you. I knew that I was going to take the first chunk of time until Christmas to focus on just having fun with you guys. These are some of the plans that are already kind of starting to come into my heart. And they've done, and I love our church. God He has blessed me so much, and you have been such a blessing, and it's just so good. So anyway, it's like a fog lifts, forgetting the past and looking towards what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race, to receive the heavenly prize. Where's my reward? It ain't here. Now, God likes to bless me. He has given me a family that really loves me. I have a lot of fun with. He's given me parents that are good to me, and we like each other. And He's given me you, and I like you, and you like me most of the time. And so He's given me a lot of incredible blessings. But the real prize is when I get to see my Jesus face to face. That moment when I can look Him right in the eyes. And I don't know what that moment's going to be like, but I know it's going to be awesome. But here's the thing. I like studying deep sometimes. And so there's that word press on. In the Greek, the biblical sense is one of the definitions for it is to persecute, to cause to suffer physically or emotionally. So in other words, when we press on, sometimes we're suffering. Sometimes God isn't talking like you wish He did or like He used to. It doesn't necessarily mean He's mad at you, because He did the same thing to Jesus. We talked about this in Bible study I was in this week that Dallas was at. I mean, if you think that your life is going to be just roses after serving Jesus, go have a conversation with John the Baptist, who died in prison while Jesus was preaching in town. Jesus doesn't even go to visit him, and he dies in prison. How about Peter, who's crucified upside down? How about Elijah, who had the whole kingdom against him? How about David, whose army is turning against him? It is pretty normal for people God loves, for God to allow them to suffer some pain. Now, I don't like pain. I prefer not to have pain, so I don't want that for any of you. But I'll tell you what, I can tell the same story that I know a lot of you can tell. And that is when you look at some of the most painful times in your life, you never want to go through that again, but you're like, God, it was worth it. It was worth it. I would do that again. I don't want to go through it again, but I loved what you did in me because of that. And so the other one is to chase, to press on. You're chasing after it. And boy, when things are dark, it's like you're chasing. You're just running. I'm going no matter what. You get that grit, that eye of the tiger, involving great effort, striving. And so we need divine focus. Now, it's one thing to focus in the world, okay? You focus on your business, or you focus on this, or a goal, and you just focus all your attention on a few things. But in the church, we need divine focus. We don't just want to pick something randomly that we want for ourselves. We want to say, God, who have you made me to be? God made you to be somebody. He created you uniquely. You are naturally going to enjoy different things than I do. It's just how he gears us. I have weaknesses where you have strengths. You have strengths where I have weaknesses. Anyway. Yeah, so I have weaknesses either way, apparently. But God has made you that way. He made us different for that reason. So in ministries, we want to have a limited set of targets. We want to do a few things as if all of eternity depends on it. We want to have something in our focus, something that we want in HD, something where we can see the edges in that text. And we want to be able to look at it and know exactly what we are chasing for. We want to be driving towards it. We want laser focus because we know that churches that have it got that. They have focus. They're geared. I don't know if we'll ever get it. But what I do know, that if we have focus, we're at least going to impact more people for Christ. I can't promise to ever have it. I can't promise to ever be a cool church. I can promise that if we join together and we pursue God with some focused things, I think heaven's going to be different because of it. That I have great, great confidence for. I think we can have. You know what you're called to do, and you know what you're supposed to do. You also know what you're not called to do. And that is just as important. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. I want to get out of order here. Sometimes there's not a lot of results for a long time. Sometimes it takes time. When you are pressing on, like Paul said in Philippians, when you're pressing on, some days you're discouraged. And I'll tell you what, for that 6 or 3 years, depending on how you want to measure it, where nothing just really seemed to work very good, there were days I felt like a loser because the whole world tells you a loser, I did not go to the last general council 2 years ago. You want to know why? I'll be honest with you. My heart couldn't take it. I couldn't go to a conference where they say, rah, this is how you make your church successful, because it's all about making your church big at these, And they never get the John the Baptist up there that says, oh yes, I preached and it was good for a while, and then Jesus started ignoring me, and then I died in prison. That guy never speaks at conferences, right? Nobody wants to hear from that guy. Yet, we find all kinds of characters like that in our Bible. And so I'm not going to general council. No way. My heart just can't take it because I can't be raw, try harder and get results because I'm doing the best I can and it's all I got. But I'm going this year, by the way. But sometimes don't look for immediate results. Sometimes we grind for different reasons, even if you're doing everything right. So it takes discipline. You have to go even when it hurts. Sometimes, I'm talking from a pastor perspective, sometimes you have to put forth an attitude of confidence and boldness when you are feeling profoundly insecure. Sometimes you got, and I'll just be honest with one time I let somebody, something went wrong. This is years ago, and one of my people that were my volunteers, they saw me get stressed out, and you know what that does? It's one thing if a leader gets stressed out, but if somebody sees a leader get stressed out, they get really stressed out. It's like it multiplies as you go down the chain. And so there are times where you better pray up and get your heart in the right place, because I'm standing in front of those people again, right? You press on. It takes some endurance. Now, it might be weeks, it might be months, it might be years, it might even be decades. But you know what? And this is a great freedom that I have now. That is, I've always known it, but I believe it more now. And that is that I'm not here to produce. I can't produce. I can't grunt out souls. We can't grunt out souls. But you know what we can do? We can love somebody who is the least of these in Christ's name. We can do that. I can't guarantee success anywhere else, but I know we can do that. And you know what? We spent a month in the Great Feast. You remember that? I spent all summer in the Great Feast. So we need to follow our passion. We are going to be passionate about a few things. Now, I know what it's like for things to go well. When we, actually I'm going to skip that. We don't hear about things going well, do we? We're talking about results, follow our passion. I'm running out of time, so I got to talk about the main point here. I want to tell you something about me. And you know this about me, so I'm not going to take very long doing it. But I moved my first homeless teenager in my basement when I was like 17. My mom found him. My mom kicked him out, but he was smoking dope in our basement. So I would have kicked him out too. I didn't know that his name was Steve. And anyway, I was, always doing stuff like that. It was never, when I brought kids to, we went to this retreat. We used to bring teenagers. I had a group of between 20 and 40 kids, and we had about 20 kids or so up at this retreat in Winnipeg, Canada. John Peterson got a bus, and he picked up our kids on a bus, so we all went to Winnipeg. My kids were different than the other kids because my kids smoked. And so Jeremy and Weezer, they were both doing coke before I found them, and they were off of drugs. And one night, Weezer backslid, and she had gotten drunk. Me and Jeremy walked across town in the middle of the night to get Weezer from this party and take her home again, because we didn't want her to fall off the wagon. She was there drunk, and so we get her home again. And I got home, and I don't know if my parents remember this or not, but I got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. How do you respond to your teenager when you say, you're in trouble? You got home at 4 o'clock in the morning, and your teenager says, well, you see, Jeremy and Weezer, they're at this party, and I had to go get them, and we did all this and all that. Well, I mean, what do you even do with that, right? And so my kids have never looked like other churches' kids, right? My church has never looked like other people's church, because I'm going to repeat myself again, but it illustrates the point so well. The head pastor at Northview Church, David Liedall, he thanked me because of the impact I'd had in his life, and he said, I said, are you kidding me? I did not take you out for lunch one time. Not one time did I take it. I wish I would have now. I could have taken more credit for his success, But not one time did I take him out for lunch. Do you want to know why? Because his mom taught at Park Christian School. He went to Park Christian School. His mom brought him to Sunday school. I figured he was, this is the math that happens in my head. He's making it to heaven with or without me. Okay? His chances are really good. Who did I hang out with? I hung out with this kid named Dustin, about the same age as David. He was a Wiccan when I found him. Got saved, radically saved, and God was doing amazing things in him. Then he began to backslide. You don't always win. But I had about a few years with him, and he started dressing weird, going to school and stuff. And then when he was backsliding, and he was getting kind of a little bit ornery, I'd be leading worship, and he would stand up in the front, in the middle of all the kids. All the kids are up in the front, and everybody's worshiping. And Dustin had porcelain vampire teeth, and he would be standing there, and he would go like this while I'm leading worship. Right? He's was not serving the Lord last time I checked, but we gave him our best shot. But my kids were broke. The ones that I ended up ministering, they were always broke, and I walked right past the nice kids because they're probably going to make it to heaven without me. That's your pastor. I'm so sorry for that. To be honest with you, that attitude, well, I'm not sorry for that at all. I was a little sarcastic. It's who I am. And so any ministry I touch is going to gravitate that direction. And so follow your passion. If you get out of focus, do I have time to talk about this? I think I do. I'm going to tell you a story about getting out of focus. I'm aware of a church. It exploded during the 80s. They built 3 buildings in the period of about 10 years. And I remember because when I was young, we went to the church. And I don't remember, know my parents remember this or not, but we went to a play at that church. And they're building fast. They had massive outreaches. They had they had 13 buses that would go out. They had all kinds of ministry going on. Now, over 40 years, they got to a point where they went from thousands of people down to a few hundred people. And I can tell you some of the things that I know that for years the bus ministry budget was cut. I know that a lot of the outreach was stopped. The things that they used to do, they weren't doing anymore. Where the head people in the church were underneath buses on Saturday mornings. And then you went from that to all of a sudden being less money every year for that. And I happened to be in a meeting with some of the people from that church. And there was an evangelist there. And this evangelist knew all about revival. And she said, oh, the revival is so great where we are. We're in this small town, Ohio or something like that. We're in this small town, and the revival is so awesome. So I'm in this meeting, and she talked about revival for 2 hours in that meeting. Now, I was pretty young at the time. This is going back quite a few years. And so I was in this room, and she leaves. And the room is, everybody's in, there's like 20 people in the room there. And the room is quiet for a moment. And 22-year-old Scott says, did anybody notice that she talked about revival for 2 hours and didn't mention the lost one time? And nobody said anything. It just like I farted in the room. Focus matters. They were more focused on loving the least of these and loving the lost, but then they changed. And they wanted, and it was all about revival. They thought if they prayed hard enough, that revival would come. But in the scripture, we actually see them going out and preaching the gospel and doing things. And so that's what it's like to lose your focus. And we don't want to lose our focus. And I'll be honest, when you're planting a church, there's a lot of pressure on you to do it certain ways. And so we made mistakes, I'm sure. We are in, what's the Bible verse? Oh, this is Mary and Martha. But the Lord answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. But few things are necessary, and only one thing. For Mary has chosen the better part. If we focus on too many things, we won't be good at anything. Steve Jobs said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to 100 other good ideas. In order to have focus, you got to say no a lot. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually proud. I'm as proud of the things I haven't done as the things that I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. And I think it was last week it was 2 weeks ago that I was talking to you. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and I told you how many churches want to minister to the up and coming, the up and outers they call them. The one pastor said, "We want to minister to the Microsoft crowd." Why do they want to minister to Microsoft crowd? Well, because they're lower maintenance and they've got lots of money. And so in our church, if we were to go through the simple church process, what have we cut out? And we did kind of cut out some things even very recently. What have we stopped? We stopped having a band. Now, my band moved away, and then we kept on going with it. And so but it took a lot out of me. I'm like, God, I just cannot carry this weight. I got to quit doing the music on Sundays. I enjoy it. Some of you maybe enjoyed it. But what do we keep? Well, our meal is important because we have to have fellowship. And our Bible studies, our midweek is important because we need to be rubbing shoulders with each other outside of, and now we have no band. And so we have consciously stopped doing some things to focus on some more important things. So what is the best for Rock Church? Sunday mornings are important. I found that even people who don't go to church expect you to have church on Sunday mornings. Wednesday nights are important. We have to have fellowship and discipleship. You need to be discipling somebody on Wednesday night. Pick somebody up. Man, pick somebody up and bring them to Bible study. All that ministry happens in the car. You just can't replace that. Loving well in church. Well, you can belong before you believe at Rock Church. You guys do that well. And I want to talk to you about, whoops, I should have had that up there. Something else. When I stopped doing the music on Sunday mornings, that loosened up my mornings. Got the sound system so it sets up pretty fast and pretty well. And that was going pretty good. So I had time on Sunday morning. So I jumped in our van and I started picking people up. And I just had a couple pockets of people. Jolene is driving it now. I believe that what God wants us to focus on, let me put one more perspective in there. I did spend the entire summer studying the Great Feast, where it talks about going out to the highways and the byways. We spent 5 weeks in the Great Feast, preaching-wise. It should be no surprise to you whatsoever when I tell you my heart naturally is bent towards, and when I read my Bible, I kind of tend to think that Jesus' heart is also bent towards what the Bible calls the poor, the blind, the lame, the outcast. Man, I am so eager. Let the fancy churches have the fancy people. Fancy people usually irritate me. Lord, give me somebody that I want to do something where nobody else is doing something. I want to find folks that are being skipped over because they're not, nobody has bus ministries anymore. I had a pastor tell me this 2 weeks ago, I see your van all over on Sunday mornings. So another pastor in town. You don't see buses out like you used to. That used to be a much bigger thing for churches to go out with buses. Why don't they do it now? Well, I'll tell you, there are still people out there that would come if they had a ride. Why don't they do it? They don't cash flow. That's the simple truth of it. And their church gets big enough already, and there's no pressure to grow necessarily. And boy, those people, they're more work, They're, for whatever reason, you have to go get them. Man, those buses are expensive. I don't want buses. We're nowhere near having buses. But you know what I would like? I would like to develop that part of our ministry. I've been sticking my foot in some doors around town where maybe I can find some folks that we could love them really good. Maybe we could, maybe other people would look past them. Maybe we can look right at them, but we have to go get them. Jolene is incredibly faithful. I'm meeting with her and Josh today. One of the things that I'm going to say to her is to ask her to drive less. I need some more people willing to drive 2 different ways. I need more people who are willing to take their car and go get somebody, and I need some more people who are willing to get in the van. Nothing is worse than that van on roads like we have today, by the way, Jolene. Those big vans, there's nothing worse you could possibly drive on these roads. But thank you, Jolene, for that. At the front of my heart right now, and we never would have had the opportunity to do this if I hadn't quit doing the music, because I trailblazed. I got in that van and I just started going. And we're going to figure this out. And that, and now Jolene has been doing it, and we've been picking up Cynthia. We love you so much, Cynthia. She couldn't be here unless we went and got her, and what a blessing she is. So what I'm saying to you is, I got something else I want you to write on your card today. And on that card, I want you to let me know if you would be willing to take 30 minutes before church and pick some folks up. And now let me tell you this, just so you know, I'm going to be talking to Jolene and Josh a little bit about today. I want to give you a layer of insulation, because if I give you somebody to drive, I don't want them to have your phone number. I want them to have a church phone number, so I want there to be a layer there to protect you. Not that anybody is dangerous that we're getting, but I just want to insulate you a little bit. I want to tell you that if you are doing our ministry, you are not allowed to give them money. Tell them, oh, I'm so sorry, Scott doesn't let us do that. Go talk to Scott. If they need saying no to, I'm better at it than you are, I guarantee you, okay? And so I want to put those safeties in you to protect you. Not that I won't ever give money to somebody, but you shouldn't do it all the time. And so please, so I want to make you feel safe and feel protected that, we're going to make it safe for you. We're not going to put you in a situation where you shouldn't be. But that said, I don't know. I got this feeling that if I got intentional about it, and if I started wiggling and waggling in a couple of different places, I think that we could get another 20, 30 people in here on Sundays. That's not crazy at all. I think that with a little bit of intentionality, and one of the things is I had okay, I know all of you. If you're bored with my preaching, you're free to leave. Because I can tell you one more thing, because it's right here where we are. I was at the New Life Center this week, and I'm doing Wednesdays and Thursdays at the New Life Center in their devotionals in the morning. And I asked permission. I'm trying to walk very carefully, because sometimes I come into places like a bull, and so I'm trying to be very gentle. And we had the same guys there for a bunch of time, and then we had, I walked around and invited people. We had 2 extra people who had never been there before. And so that was really cool, but I asked permission if I could walk around the place and invite them to devotions. And now I talked to Rob, he's the executive over there, and I said, can I help serve breakfast so I can banter with the guys as they're coming by? I can invite more people to devotions. And then as they come to devotions, I can invite them here. And we have a van. And maybe we send the van out twice. Maybe we go out and we get a bunch of people and we bring them here, and then we have those people set up, and then we send the van out again. I don't know. Or maybe we have enough, because what happens when you're giving rides to places, you've got a whole bunch of people over here, but then you've got 2 people in this part of town and 2 people in that part of town. And that happens all the time. And so it really is effective to have one bigger vehicle. And if we had 3 little vehicles, we could zip around all over the place and not take very much of anybody's time. And so I just want to challenge you a little bit to give 30 minutes on a Sunday morning, because how could that not make Jesus smile? Do you hear me? I mean, is there any possible way that if we did that Jesus wouldn't sit back and grin? I can't fathom it. I can't imagine any of you could fathom that Jesus wouldn't be pleased if we said, oh gosh, we got 20 people in here. Sure wish we had more people. And if we can figure out a way to go get them, isn't it kind of shame on us if we don't? So I just implore you today it's not your fault, I'm your pastor, but I feel like if there's one thing that we do well, I feel like if there's one thing that has been in my DNA for as long as I can remember, and that's walking past the healthy to the people who maybe aren't as healthy. And those folks, you very often have to go get them. And I want to encourage you to help me with that. And so, we're going to try to put a little organization behind it now that we've paved the way a little bit. And then I paved the way, then we widened the way with Jolene, and we want to widen it one more time and get a little more organized, a little bit formal, a little bit, all those things. So anyway, I'll tell you what, I don't know how I want to do this. You are dismissed. Walk out if you want. We're going to worship a little bit. We got 2 songs. And I encourage you to stay, but if you could go on, please don't feel bad about that at all.
Jesus was a rock star.